least I think we're started. Close enough, I guess. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Doug Wilkerson. This is Saturday Night Live Life Recovery. Life recovery means that we're working on trying to recover from life, because life is messy. Is that not the truth? And if it's messy and things are messed up, then that means it's messing with our life. Anybody had anything ever mess with your life? You don't have to answer that. I already know the answer. It is the way it is, right? Yeah. So what we're doing is we're coming together to not only in our live meeting, but also on the internet. And hello, folks on the internet. I'm glad you're with us, whether it's right now or on a replay. But we want to help you to do better, get better, re-regulate your life, your thoughts, your emotions. We need all that, and it takes some work. First, you have to become aware what you need to do, and then you have to become aware of what you need to do. So here we are. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic that Tommy picked out. We're in step 2, but our topic is grandiose thinking. And that's out of our scripture topic, reference for our topic, is Daniel 4:19 through 33. That's the story of King Nebuchadnezzar and what happened there. And I think it's a very appropriate story for us that have ever lost our mind along the way. And you don't have to respond to that either. But I would say most of us have been there. And some of it was maybe circumstance induced, but oftentimes it's self-induced. Hello?
Yep.
And one of the quotes we read last week that Einstein says that you can't fix a problem with the same brain that created it. So that's the reason why it's so important that we get some help. And that leads us up to where I'm going to read step 2 here. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves, and that's what I'm talking about, getting some help from a power greater than us, because we're not getting it done, could restore us to sanity. And that's what we're talking about, sanity. And that's, I didn't look this up. Let's ask that question. What is the definition of sanity? Well, we have a pretty good idea what insanity is, right? You can pick whichever one you want to talk about. Yes, Robert.
I think sanity is just general order and normalcy, which I guess that's another question, what's normal, but
It's a setting on the washing machine.
I'm sorry?
Normal is a setting on the washing machine.
Yeah, that is true.
But it doesn't really fit this application.
Yeah, I think for me it's just order and a general sense of well-being.
That's good. I like that. I like that. Because the reverse of that, insanity, is disorder, chaos, and no sense of well-being, because we're scared, run, hiding, or trying to use different coping mechanisms to numb out uh, or power things to try to make ourselves feel better. And the only trouble is, if any of those do help, it's very, very temporary.
Yeah.
And it usually causes more disorder and chaos in your life. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So, all right. So that's step 2. That's what we're talking about. And what does grandiose thinking mean? I do have a sheet over there. Yes, Tommy. I do have a sheet over there by the offering container that you can get, and the definition is there. And Tommy, I think, is going to read it for us.
Grandiose thinking is a pattern of thinking where a person overestimates their importance, power, knowledge, and specialness, often believing they are exceptional in ways that aren't grounded in reality.
Going down to in plain language.
In plain language, I'm bigger, more capable, and more important than I actually am.
So I'm not going to ask you if anybody's here living in the land of grandiose thinking, but you may know somebody that has or does, right?
Yeah, a friend of mine had that problem really bad.
Yeah, yeah. And you only got to see him once a day when you're shaving? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Every time you look in the mirror.
What'd you say, John?
Or every time you look in the mirror.
Yeah, well, that was my point there. That was an indirect thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we're talking about here. So overestimating their importance. That's a pretty powerful statement, wouldn't you say? Why would a person do that?
To gain control over something, have
Good.
power.
Good. That's
To feel
good.
like they're exciting a sense of authority over it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if we jump down, and there's all these are good, but I only have a short time. But if you jump down to why it happens, and it's got a statement down there why it happens. Does anybody want to read that? If not, I can read it.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Grandiose thinking often isn't arrogance at its core. It's frequently a defense against shame, fear, powerlessness, and deep insecurity.
So it's frequently a defense against shame, fear, powerlessness, and deep insecurity. That's what, and like you said just a moment ago, Tommy, it's the grandiose is trying to offset our fear that's going on inside. And because, how does that work? I just asked the question, how does that work? Why does that work?
Because we don't know any better.
Well, yeah, well, that's true, but I guess I have to take that answer because I think that's probably, yeah. But how does it seem to the mechanism that we do it to try to make ourselves better, and so we learn that it works a little bit, so we keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
So why does it work a little bit?
Because it meets our needs.
That's good, yes, and what need is that?
More drugs.
Could be.
More power, more sense of. Go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead, and we'll let John after you. I missed it, the last statement.
Oh, I forgot what I said.
Okay. Hang on a second. John, what was it you said?
The need to be in control.
That's good, John. That's good. Yes, you raised your hand.
I was gonna quote, you know that book, you ever heard of the book Conscious Immortality?
Uh,
James Dodds.
James Dodson?
James Dodds, who's written.
Oh, Dodds.
1903.
I have not,
It's the Thomas Aquinas school.
right?
Well, he says that there's a projected self-image and actual self.
Right,
And when those two align with each other, then you have a healthy ego, which would be like sanity. you know?
right.
But he said, in most cases, their projected self-image is better or greater than they actually are. So, that might be part of it.
Mm. Yeah. And the trouble is, we project what we want to be, and we're taught that, but we feel that we don't have the capabilities to be that, and so then we're operating from a weak or fear position there. And until we align those things together, then, and know who we really are and able to do that, then you don't have to force your way around, because you have done the hard work on yourself, that self that you were talking about, the inner self. Because most of the time, I keep adding on, most of the time we assume or believe a lie about ourselves. And God has, His desire is for us to know Him and recognize His image, which is our self-image. And we've talked about that in the past. So, good comment. Yes, Robert?
I think it's pretty common with addiction that when we are under the influence of whatever it may be, we get more manic, we get a feeling of superiority that nothing can knock me down.
Now you're going in the direction that I was trying to get dig out here. So keep going.
And it's the thing that comes when we come crashing down. We have to realize that that is only a false sense of power, that it is only because of some outside influence that we're putting into our brain. And
Well, those would be substances.
yeah,
Right.
the crash, the downward crash is usually much more it moves us in that opposite direction to where we're shamed and humiliated
Right.
much
Good.
to a further degree than the high was.
You bet.
At least that's the way it was for me.
Mhm.
And that makes us feel terrible, and then we think, well, maybe I didn't go about it the right way. I need to try more, or I need to gamble more dollars.
Right.
Maybe I haven't found the right system yet. So it's just a whole circle of terribleness.
And on the sheet there, it talks about, what it looks like is believing that I can fix it.
Yeah.
When you're in a hole, they always say one of the main things you need to do is stop digging. Right? So, but the point, and I agree with your statement about substances, but obsessive compulsive behaviors create a substance of its own. Endorphins.
Well, that's the way gambling was. I mean,
Right.
I didn't put anything into my body, but boy, it sure affected me.
You bet. And that right there is that it alters your brain, how you think. It gives you a false sense of security or reality about that I'm bigger. I'm some even say I'm God. And so I can't fail. Well, we all know that that's not the way that it is, particularly when you're separated from God, right? So that was kind of the answer to my question, so good job. Let's go to, this is one-line definition. I'm gonna touch on this. Is grandiose thinking is an inflated self-view that denies human limits. Sound familiar to anybody? You know, not on you, but somebody you know. And dependency on, and dependency on God and others. So you're overinflated, so you're denying, your human limits, you're denying depending on God or others, and so you're cutting yourself off, which is another thing we talk about all the time, and that's isolation, right? And how does that work out for those people that are isolate?
Not good.
So how'd you like the way I asked that question?
Keith, I'm paranoid.
So, next question is, well, I know what the question is, but I just can't find it here. I know it's right there. Step 2 is, how does step 2 connect with grandiose thinking? Well, step 2 breaks grandiose thinking. I thought that was a very powerful statement. Step 2 breaks grandiose thinking. So let's review step 2 again. Is that okay? We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. See, if we don't come to that belief, then we're in that state of chaos.
So it causes that cycle to stop.
Yeah, because now you're recognizing the truth of what's going on. Now that doesn't mean you immediately know what you need to do, but now at least
You begin to get better.
you know what you need not to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a beginning. That's a big beginning. That's important.
Yeah.
So okay.
It says from the biblical recovery lens, grandiose thinking is the
Speak a little louder, please.
It says from a biblical and recovery lens, grandiose thinking is the opposite of humility and dependence.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yes. Yes.
You do it on my own.
Yes. Grandiose is a defense against helplessness, which is what we kind of were talking about a while ago. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, but I would invite you to read all of that and study through that. I've got circles and marks and all kinds of stuff, so I could take the rest of the night probably going through this, but we got to let Tommy get up here and share his wisdom. But I want to read a quote that I have down here that I think is on that sheet. I think I put it on the sheet by Dr. Carl Jung. And that is the psychological rule says that when an inner situation, remember, inner situation, what are we talking about? Stuff on the inside of who? You. Okay? That when an inner situation is made conscious, what does that mean? Instead of living in denial, like we said a while ago,
Aware.
you become aware.
Yeah.
Become aware. So that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside as fate. What in the world does all that mean? Shall I tell you what I think it means?
Yep.
And that is that we have stuff that pushes us around. We can say it's beliefs. Maybe it's thoughts. Maybe it's even voices. It's stuff that pushes us around. And oftentimes, we just try to block that out and deny it. And believe that the lie that we're believing is not a lie, it's the truth. And all I have to do is, kind of like what Robert said a while ago, just do more of what I've been doing, which is Einstein's definition of insanity. The rest of that is and fate. I know that sometimes we get sideways on that word fate, but that is what shows up in our life. And why does it show up in our life? Is because we're making it show up that way. How do you like those apples? So when we complain about the way things are, you need to realize I have chosen this mess by not dealing with this mess. Okay? And then what happens? It gets bigger, right? Harder. It gets uglier, meaner, more ruthless. Is that not true? Have you experienced that?
Yes.
Okay. That is to say, when the individual remains undivided, that means when you will not see that what's going on in the inside, you're pretending that it's not there, or you're choosing not to even look, or you're saying it's somebody else's fault. Okay. Individual remains undivided and does not become conscious of his inner opposite. See, each of us have that true core of us, and it's there trying to help us, has always been there. Is that not true? But oftentimes we override it. We numb ourselves to that. We pretend that, well, this time it's okay. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or you know somebody that lives that way? Does not become conscious of his inner opposite. The world must act out the conflict. In other words, the world, we don't really realize how powerful we are, and most of the difficulties in our life, and I said most, and maybe that's a bold statement, but are as a result of decisions or choices that we made somewhere, or a unhealthy reaction to somebody else's decision or choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, well, give me an illustration. You get mad because somebody does something to you, so you've decided my rule is to get revenge. And how does that work out for you?
Get even with them.
Yeah, get even with them. But you never get even.
No.
Vengeance belongs to the Lord.
Yeah. And so that's the reason why what we talked about last week is so important about forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves and being able to forgive others. Letting it go. And let the higher power, God, take care of it. Not faking it, not pretending that it doesn't matter, because it does matter, but I choose not to poison my own soul any longer. And that's hard to see sometimes, particularly when you're so entrenched in that. Is that not correct? So, I'm going to go ahead and read one more, and that's right below that is Carl Jung again, which I really like Carl Jung. It said, I am not what happens to me. Okay, I thought this was a good follow-up quote. I am not what happens to me. I am what I choose to become. So that quote right there puts a majority of the responsibility on us. Now I know that can be heavy, but truth is truth. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do, and I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I'm just giving you an opportunity to think from a different perspective, because that is the power. So you can protect your heart and your mind. and have it line up with God. And that's where the blessing is. Amen?
Amen.
All right, who's reading the steps? All right, looks like Willie's reading the steps. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your comments.
Step one, we admitted we were powerless over our problems and our lives had become unmanageable. Step two, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step four, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step five, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step six, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons that we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, properly amend it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. 12, having a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all of our affairs. And back to step 2, where we're at right now, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Very good.
Thank you, Willie. Does anybody need any bracelets? Recovery time celebrative bracelets, okay. All right. So,
Hello, everybody.
hello,
Tommy.
For 4 months.
so,
4?
Yeah.
Willie.
Willie? He's talking
Oh,
to you.
Willie, no, I don't want. I
Oh,
want
what color's 4 months on the bracelets?
You should have it there on the wall.
No,
Thought
I don't
I
know.
thought
Maroon, 90 days.
90 days?
Maroon's 90 days.
Maroon?
It's 120, right?
Uh-huh.
It's
No.
120, right?
Oh, that's 6 months?
No.
Oh.
4 months. Yeah, I had a bad night back in beginning of October.
Well, we're glad you're here. Congratulations. So why did you pick this topic?
I was hoping you'd ask me that.
Oh, well, here we are.
Not that bad of a night, by the way.
Okay.
Why did I pick this topic?
Evidently you had, wait a second, evidently you had a good plan for recovery, when there is a slip, and so that's what we need to do. And so can I ask him another question?
ahead.
Is that all right to ask you a
Yes.
question?
Yes, sir.
What'd you learn from that relapse?
I guess don't celebrate just for the purpose of celebrating.
Okay,
Well, also, I'm coming up with an idea to stay like twice removed from, like, not bad people, but people that party like that, you know? Not
It's a good
only
plan.
associate with them, but don't communicate with them directly,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Good deal. Thank you for your honesty there. Appreciate it. All right, Tommy, why did you pick this topic today?
I've done this topic 3 years in a row now. And I thought, I'd like a refresher course in it. And I seen that nobody had done it and I jumped on it.
All right. Good deal.
I was like, glad. I was like, I got it again this year. Nice.
So, and why did you, we'll just have a follow-up question on that. Why did you feel that you needed a refresher course on this particular topic? Even though,
Just to make sure that I was, in line with how I was supposed to be and learn maybe where I'm still kind of grandiose in my ways and
All right,
maybe see if there's some things I can fix.
okay, okay. And did you become aware of some things?
Not so much. I became aware that maybe I'm on a better track than I was even a year ago.
Okay, so isn't that aware of some things?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, I didn't want to get confused there.
No, I just kind of thought I didn't really see that there was many things that I needed to work on that were grandiose as I did last year.
So, the new question that I said I wanted to introduce today, and I'd like to continue to do that. Why are you here at Saturday Night Live?
Because I like to come here because I learn things, I grow, I have a community with people, and I just really enjoy coming here. It keeps me on track in life a little bit.
Good.
More better than if I was not coming here.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's go forward.
All right. Grandiose thinking. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. When we were caught up in our addiction, it's common for us to deny the truth about the situation with grandiose thinking.
So do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with that. Because I think back about when I was younger and I'd be in situations where I couldn't be around my family because I was around drugs, but I gave myself reasons to believe that they were wrong and I was right. And then I continued doing my drugs, and I didn't get my time with my family because I chose the drug life over, my siblings, my mother, my father, my family.
So why, this is actually a question I have down here, and
Okay.
I think it really fits, I believe it fits,
Okay.
and that is, why do you think we or you did this?
Because I was hurt.
Ah,
I think because I had been hurt when I was young, and I looked for escapes from what I thought would fix it, and I ran to those things, unknowingly that it would turn into years of addiction and just torture and hell.
so can I reverbalize what you just said?
Yes,
You turn to some quick fixes to try to make you feel better,
yes,
but what?
it didn't make me feel better in the long run, and it didn't fix nothing.
Okay,
It made things worse. It made new problems.
good. So can anybody identify with this, or does everybody identify with this? Okay, good. All right, go ahead.
We may believe that we were above it all and a God unto ourselves, accountable to no one.
Do you agree with that
I
statement?
was just thinking about how when I was living that life that I thought that, man, I had the self-image of myself that I don't even understand today how I functioned in life. How did I even, get by daily with some of the thoughts and the beliefs I had.
Well, I think that's a great question, and I think you ought to try to answer it.
What's that? How I got by?
How you got by with that type of thinking,
Well, because I was surrounded by other people that thought that way.
okay?
And I was not out of the normal in the community that I was surrounding myself in.
Okay. And so that helped you to get by to some degree,
Yes.
okay? And is it, my question is the same as the one I asked a while ago. So why do you think we do this? Why do you think that why were you adapted to that downward spiral of things when they just kept getting worse and worse? And I'm assuming your thinking got more extreme,
Yes.
more grandiose.
Yes.
Since that's the word we're using today.
Mhm.
What do you got to say about that?
Well, I kind of think that I learned a lot of stuff when I was younger from older people, and I would see their lives working normally, but when I applied it in my life to live that way, my life didn't go that way.
Okay, so you're talking about obsessive compulsive behaviors and maybe
Yes.
substances, it appeared
Yes.
that it was working for them.
Yeah, but when I went that route, that was not the story for me.
So,
And I learned it wasn't the story for them later
okay,
in
that's,
life.
that's
Yeah.
what I was wanting to flush
Yeah,
out.
I learned it wasn't what I saw, because that was the grandiose lifestyle that they were living, and I seen it. But I didn't see what was underneath.
Okay, good. And that's, thank you for that. That kind of flushes that out. So we're, we only know what we know, right?
Yes.
And so we only see what we've always seen. And so a while ago, I said, we believe a lie. And so you bought into this lie that this was the way to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Pick your own path. I
Robert.
chose the wrong path.
Yeah.
Then.
Yes.
And I think, well, in my own case, I purposely tried to make it seem like my life was going just the way I wanted it to. But inside I knew it wasn't. But I wanted to project that everything was okay and nobody had to worry about me. I got it under control,
Yes.
So, but it was very, very false.
Well, you remind me of a statement, and that is, we feel that we have to fake it to make it, pretend that everything's good, and I just have to double down because the next one might be it, and if it was it, the one after it wasn't. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, any comments from anyone? Okay. All right. Let's talk about King Nebuchadnezzar.
In his day, where's the scripture start at?
It's down about a
Okay.
couple sentences.
Alright. In his day, Nebuchadnezzar, king of ancient Babylon, was the most powerful ruler on earth. He believed he was a god and demanded to be worshipped. Through Daniel, God said to him,
This is now where the scripture starts.
I was going to say in Daniel 4:24-25, this is what the Most High has declared will happen to you.
Wait a second. Have you ever had a time that you knew what you were supposed to do?
Yeah, and I didn't do it.
Okay. But you knew, and you knew it was wisdom and it was truth, but you didn't do it.
Well, it's like when choosing to do right or wrong.
Right?
And you choose to do wrong and break a law, or even though you may not have gotten caught, you still chose to do it, and you have to live with what you go through. What I go through if I was to
Yeah.
do something like that.
And that's what we're going to be talking about, King Nebuchadnezzar here. Does
Yeah.
anybody else have any statement they'd like to make on that? What are we talking about? That's where you knew what you're supposed to do, but you choose not to do it. Have you ever done that? You don't have to answer that. Because we all have, right?
Yeah.
And how, I don't want this to be too hard, but how did that work out for you?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay. And so if we are to learn something here is when we have that whisper of wisdom that comes to our brain or our mind, our heart, in our spirit, whatever, however you detect it, we need to respond to that the best we can. Now, it's not even if you do it, is that you're willing to respond to it, right? You understand what I'm saying? It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Shall I say that again? It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And we know what we're supposed to do, so we attempt to do it. You don't. It's not. It's you pass the test because you were willing to try, whether it was successful or not, whether you got it done or not. You may disagree with that, but I think it's true. Yes, sir.
I think the first step is just recognizing the truth. That's what step one is about. We came to believe.
Yes. Good.
Well, at first, I knew it was wrong. But then the more I did it, the less I thought it was wrong. And then it took me many years before I started realizing those inklings that telling me that's bad for you, you shouldn't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I finally listened to those voices, but by then there was a lot of water under the bridge, and I wish I would have listened earlier.
You reminded me of something when you were talking there, and that's right in there, and I'm trying to find it. It's where we've talked about this. Adam and Eve. Eve was deceived. Okay. Didn't say that she sinned, said she was deceived. Now, she took actions by getting Adam to take of the fruit, and he's the one that put us in the place that we're in, because he turned over his position by making that choice. And there could be a lot of different reasons, but we're not going to go into all that. But who was it that said that if you eat of the fruit, you will surely die?
God.
Okay, I really need to find this where I write, which that is not true.
No.
No. No, and that may be true. Okay, you'll be like God. Excuse me. Who said
Satan.
you'll be like God? It was Satan that says you'll
Yeah.
be like God. And see, that's what that grandiose thinking is about, is trying to be like God.
Yeah.
Excuse me for my misfiring there. But all this that I'm talking about here is not necessarily on this sheet, but I do have some scriptures pertaining to what I'm talking about here. It's on the back side out of Genesis 5, and it says, I will be like God. If she was to eat, she'd be like God. Well, the thing of it is, can I tell you a little secret here that helped me long ago? And I think I probably have said it here, that if you know who it is that's talking to you, that's a good indication whether it's truth or lie. And if you know that it's the enemy, Satan, the devil, talking to you, he is the father of all lies, and everything he says is a lie. It may be twisted with a little bit of truth in it, but it's a lie, and it's destruction. So God showed me this many, many, many years ago, because I was debating something in myself and with God, because I felt under condemnation about something that the devil was telling me I needed to do. Does that make sense? And he told me, well, where did that statement, where did that come from? Well, I said, the devil said it. And then I realized, as soon as I said the devil said it, if he said it, it's a lie. And I don't have to believe the lie,
No.
right? Now, I'm thinking that Eve believed the lie, right?
Yeah, she was deceived, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm not trying to be overly harsh on Eve. I'm just saying, we need to learn that when we know the truth, and if we know that truth will set us free. And that knowing is that we embrace the truth. So if we live our life based on the truth, how does that work out for us?
Truth sets you free.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely better than basing our life on a lie. And you know people that will live their life, base their life on a lie, and think that they can outrun it, right?
Yep.
And they might be able to do it for a little while. But, okay? Good, Robert, thank you. Now, I know I'm going back to you, Tommy, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to find where we're at. Go ahead.
You will be driven from human society, and you will live in the fields with the wild animals.
Okay, who's he talking to?
Nebuchadnezzar,
Right,
king of the ancient Babylon,
okay.
the most powerful ruler on earth.
Right. Most powerful ruler on earth. And go ahead.
Until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. So he's saying that what I'm getting out of this, he's saying if he's the ruler of a nation, that God's already chosen, but he took it within his own grandiose thinking that he's the one.
He said, look at what I've done.
Yeah.
I built
Yeah.
this country and this city and this palace. And he was already warned that he needed to make some adjustments.
He's back down.
Okay. But see, he was doing the same thing that Eve was doing.
Yeah.
Right? Is that not true?
Yeah.
And the fact of it was, what do I mean? Just what you said. She was created by God, okay? So she was what she wanted to be. But there was somewhere in there she didn't seem to believe it. Does that remind you of anybody? That reminds me of me. How about you, of you, all right? And so, and the reason why we believed it is because we bought into that lie, that deception that we told ourselves that was whispered in our ear by the enemy. Would you agree with that statement? Anybody have any comments?
Yeah.
Am I going too far? All right? Okay. Because I don't want to, I don't want to harm you. I want to help you. Go ahead.
This happened just as Daniel had predicted. At the end of the king's time in exile, he said in Daniel 34, 36, and 37, oh gosh. I looked up to heaven, my sanity returned, and I praised and worshiped the Most High, and honored the one who lives forever. When my sanity returned to me, so did my honor and glory and kingdom, and even greater honor than before. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and glorify and honor the King of heaven. All his acts are just and true, and he is able to humble the proud. I like that in the end where it says humble the proud. So he brought him down to a place where he could see the truth,
Because he thought that he was
the truth.
the power that created everything. Yeah, he had some power because God gave it to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He just.
Now what happened was that God spoke to him to correct him and gave him a dream, and nobody could tell him the answer except for Daniel.
Yeah.
And the rest of the story is God gave him a year to get it fixed, or at least start on it. You know what I mean? Okay. I did some study on righteousness. Righteousness is being in right standing with God. That's a legal placement in God. When we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, He proclaims us righteous or in right standing with God. That's legal. Sanctification is where we're working through the process of being renewed and transformed. And that is a process. You understand that's a process. That doesn't change our legal place in God, because that's righteousness in right standing with God, because we have aligned with Him. Now, we don't always feel that way, and we don't always act that way, right?
I don't know. Sometimes it's very hard to see it, you know, to realize it, because you get clouded up by so much stuff in life, you know. You just get distracted.
And King Nebuchadnezzar,
It's distracted.
he knew what he needed to do because God told him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he recognized the truth. In fact, Daniel says, I don't want to tell you this. I wish I was talking to your enemies,
Yeah.
right? And he says, no, tell me. So he was actually, in a sense, open to hear the truth. I thought that was very interesting. But I don't know. I don't know what all happened for a year, but finally, the situation came down to it where there was a move that had to be made. Have you ever been on that side of things, that a move that had to be made? I was just pausing. Yes. And when we made that move, even though we may have put ourselves deeper and deeper in the hole, finally things started lifting. It took a while to clean up the mess, right? Because it does. But that doesn't mean that you're not living in that legal state of righteousness with Him. You're working on becoming sanctified. Okay? Now, I know those are some theological terms, but that's still part of, that's what's going on. Okay? Hopefully that is helpful. So he knew it. God told him, and He gave him a year. And the rest of the story is, the picture was that the tree would be cut down. And He said, you're the tree. You've given fruit to the entire land. Very powerful and anointed. But now the tree's going to be cut down. We're going to put a ring of iron and brass around it. Don't disturb the roots. Don't totally kill the tree. But then he was 7 years out there. At least that's the way I read it.
Yeah.
Through the different study references. But finally, as we all have come to the place that we came to ourself, thank God that God nurtured us even when we were in a mess. And then when we come to ourselves, then things turned. And the interesting thing is, He didn't go back and try to force taking power again. The wise men, the leaders, saw what was going on in his life, and they came to him. And we said, we need you back. What do you think about that? So there is restoration. There is recovery. There is renewal. There is a way back. Any comments? Tommy? Any comments?
No.
Did we get it all read?
Yes. No, we didn't read it all.
Okay.
We are not God. We are accountable to God, a higher power. This higher power can remedy our madness and restore our life to be.
Wait a minute. I got this marked.
Okay.
The higher power can remedy our madness.
Yes. He can bring all those confusing thoughts into order. All that confusion and just the way of thinking.
That gives me goosebumps.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
He can remedy our madness.
He could give you something new, a fresh start,
He can restore our life.
to be even better than it was before our season of insanity.
Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I'm living it.
Well, a few weeks ago, we talked about Joel.
Oh,
I saw the first part, but I couldn't get the second part. Job, how God restored things back to him. Yeah, there was losses. It all happened.
yeah.
But God moved in his life, and it can be good again.
Yeah.
Good?
God will do so if we entrust our life to Him.
Yes. So what does that mean?
Well, I made a decision to turn my life over to the power of God, and I've seen things change. Maybe not in my timing, maybe not by the way I learn as fast as I learn certain things, because some things you learn and you forget,
Yes.
and you have to relearn them again, just like
Yes.
retaking this grandiose thinking again this year.
Yes. Yes. You're right. I was talking to somebody, and I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it came to my mind when you was talking, and that is like the children of Israel that wandered around in the desert for 40 years.
Yeah.
And they were confronted ever so often with their past decisions.
Yeah.
And it took them 40 years to move where they would not move 40 years earlier.
Yeah.
I thought I just throw that in there.
Yeah. Stubbornness.
Sometimes we figure, since I can't forgive myself, maybe God can't forgive me. That's not true,
I've felt that way.
but it's not true.
No. And I had to learn to forgive myself.
Yes. Yes, because he has forgiven us.
Yeah.
And cleansed us from all unrighteousness.
Yeah.
Good. So what did you learn from this lesson this time?
I learned that I have a few areas in my life that I have to look for warning signs and triggers of when my brain starts to go off into grandiose thinking land and bring myself back to center,
Good.
to into the now.
Do you have a technique to do that you'd like to share?
I usually recognize a few things around me, and I see if I can smell something, or what do I touch something. I just go through
That's
different
called
things.
that's called grounding.
Grounding. Yeah, I do grounding techniques, and other ones are like have a mantra. When my thinking and I was just really crazy and like had a lot of symptoms of mental health problems, and I learned the grounding techniques really were very helpful.
Mm-hmm. So that's what do I see? What do I hear?
What do I hear?
What do I
What
smell?
do I smell? What do I taste?
Yes.
Or no, what do I touch and what do I taste?
Taste and then you try to listen outside. You listen to the room, but then you add I listen to outside, and so what you're doing is you're trying to control your consciousness,
Yes,
and you can direct your conscience to listen outside
yes.
if you practice that. I know
You
it
hear the
sounds
birds,
strange.
You
You can hear birds,
outside,
you can
hear
do,
cars.
but you heard them all along, but you weren't aware of it
Yeah.
until you focus on it. And why do we do that? Is so you become grounded. You begin to get regulated emotionally because you're controlling your thoughts instead of letting whatever was driving you at the time, being overwhelmed, you have gained control. Isn't that right?
Yes,
And does it work for you?
yes.
Okay. And what if you don't do it?
I just go on that track of grandiose thinking, and it's like it just keeps on perpetuating.
Good deal. And when you see that it works for you, you say, I need to remember that.
Yeah.
But sometimes we forget it, don't we?
Oh yeah, that's like because I hadn't had to do it in a while, and kinda forgot what the steps were, but I knew they were somewhere along the line of those 5 things, you know? And, I'm just glad that I learned that stuff.
Good. Congratulations. So, what's your takeaway for tonight?
My takeaway is it's okay to work the steps again and again and again. It's good because you learn stuff.
Good. Thank
That's
you.
my takeaway. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. Come on down, Brandon. Glad you're here.
All right, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right. See if I can get this. Okay, ours on Grandiose, thank you.
Yep.
Gonna kind of back up here just a little bit. I've got a statement here on, gonna see if I can bring it all together.
I had
It's
that
been a while
trouble.
since I've been up here. so
I had that
it's
trouble
been-
all the time.
Yep, right.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to agree with me.
Well. Okay, as far as just, I'd seen something on page 13 up here in this, in the life recovery workbook here. It says, kind of on grandiose thinking and it says we may become grandiose like Nebuchadnezzar and think that we have the right to declare how life should revolve around me, us, our needs, and our wishes. This king looked at his successes and began to claim the credit for himself. He lost the humility of remembering that God rules and gives power and success to anyone he chooses, Daniel 4:32. And so oftentimes, for me, I kind of have the same thinking that I am in control, you know. That's why I think that being in control and having that sense of false pride lets me think that, you know, like in step 2, that I've got everything together and I can do it on my own and I can, and that when that pride and ego stands out, that seems to, I push God, God, my higher power, that I choose to kind of throw that out and then I fulfill needs on my own. And so I just kind of, thought that was good there as far as, on Nebuchadnezzar. It says his grandiosity of thought and attitude was revealed by the dream that Daniel interpreted. Daniel pleaded with him to turn from his sin of grandiose thinking, but his ego was hooked by pride of accomplishment. And then before I get to the questions here, in this King's grandiose thinking in page 14 says, and is similar to the grandiose thinking of addiction. We try to make life work by medicating, avoiding, filling ourselves with more and more sex, food, relationships, or substances. What eventually happens is similar to what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. We end up wandering aimlessly, humiliated, and not accomplishing much. His season of insanity was like a season of addiction. So, kind of in my deal, I kept filling what only I knew, even in spite of, for me, I had a relationship with God, but I really didn't know God, didn't really know, and you talked about the identity in earlier, kind of that false sense of not really knowing who I was. So I kind of looked to other means of not dealing with that, dealing with those fears and dealing with, because I didn't really know who I was. Didn't know that I was accepted, I was chosen, I was everything that God said that I was, even though I used that in spite of me being accepted in Him and chosen in Him. It mind boggles me why I would choose that life of drugs and all the things that I put in. And so it just, like I said, the grandiose thinking, similar to the grandiose of addiction, we try to make life work by medicating, avoiding, filling ourselves with more and more
Yeah.
of that. So
Yeah. It's good.
you know, the fears and trying to fill up, you know,
Yes.
and drive away the fears by looking to the wrong source. So, and it didn't work out too well. So, drove me in more. And more.
What was that last?
It drove me more
Okay.
and more to and other
Obsessive compulsive
Other-
behaviors and
and
substances.
more fears and more
And-
this and
and
problems and difficulties
acting out
with
on
family
life.
and
Yeah.
yep, so
it can turn into a snowball effect if we're not careful, because that's the way it is. One lie grows another one, right? Has everybody seen that before? Yeah. And then you don't even know how you got here. So what we have to do is do exactly what Nebuchadnezzar did. And that was, finally, he came to a place that it was just him and God.
right.
What do you think about that?
I think it takes sometimes hitting rock bottom for us to figure it out, and sometimes we don't do it then.
Well, Apostle Paul was in that, well, it was Saul then, but he was in that same situation, right? You know, Jacob, when he was going to address his brother out there, that's when he was in that situation, you know. What are you going to do? You know, he put together a plan that he was going to send his family and all the slaves and everything out in front of him, and thought maybe they'd get tired by the time they got to him. Basically, it's what he was doing. And then he realized that wasn't what he needed to do. He needed to go and be out front and meet his brother. Now that's hard. That's big. When he's lived all those years believing and knowing that his brother was going to kill him on sight. Right? But one night with God, wrestling with God or the angel, or however you want to term it, he experienced something. Why? This is my opinion, is because he was so desperate that he thought he was dying the next day, and that he sought God, and he said, "I'm not letting go until you bless me." Now, that blessing felt like painful because it knocked his hip out of socket. Okay, and then he walked with a limp evermore, but that was the beginning. Thank God for beginnings. Second chances, third chance.
All right. Question 1, it says, when in my addiction, in what ways did I display the belief that I was only accountable to myself? Well, I thought, you know, when I went out and used, for me, I was only hurting myself and my loved ones, or just when in fact that wasn't the case. And so I thought, well, you know, I was hurting myself, so why not, you know, really kind of got that belief that you know, that you know, wasn't hurting anybody but really myself. So why you know, why just not keep doing what you're doing? And I think, let's see, what else did I put? Once I started using, I didn't want to face reality, didn't want to face I was already in that lie or I was facing. So,
So we'll go back to what happened to Eve. She believed a lie and then she deceived herself. And that's kind of what you described. That's what came to my mind there. Anybody here ever deceived themselves?
Yeah.
We all have. Lord help us.
yeah,
Lord help us.
not applying what I know, that's the main thing.
Well,
You
and
can know
just-
the word, but.
Just like Nebuchadnezzar, he knew what he was supposed to do, but he didn't do it.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Just a thought about my own grandiose thinking. I didn't want to admit to myself that what I was doing was hurting anyone but me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the thought that once I hit the big jackpot, I was gonna do all these nice things with all that money to help my family, and that was trying to make myself feel better, I guess, about losing all the money, but it's just absolute insanity is what it is. And the grandiose thinking is just almost a pacifier, and it doesn't work.
Right. I remember was in a meeting one time and there was, and I didn't know this fellow, all I know is what he said, that he was, a lot of people knew him, he was kind of a famous drug dealer. And he was talking about how and he was still, I'm thinking he was still active by the way he was talking. And he was, because it was at a funeral, I believe it was. And he was talking about how he gave a lot of money to people, and he said it was okay because it was free money. His words, not mine. But I think it ties in to believing a lie, justifying the bad. Yes, that'd be a good place to ask that question. Anybody here justified your bad? You don't have to answer that. So, go ahead.
And so on that, I had to come to the realize that I wasn't in control, and I've got to be accountable to. Because when you're in that thought process of using, really, as we know, we either don't care about anybody but me and what
Yeah.
I want at that very moment, and my needs are met, and I don't have a thought of the matter of that precious wife back there or anybody for that matter, and I have to. It's like this last time. When I went out, I had, stressed out, not doing the right thing, not doing what I should be doing, self-care, and not just, and then I had to realize that when I made that choice, we was fighting, me and my wife, and causing, issues between me and her, and once I did that, then I had her totally broken in half. Left her in a situation that's totally, completely crazy, and just, so I had to finally then come to my praise the Lord that He got me out of that again, and I had to finally come to that place that, what did I learn in that situation in this last fall, you know? And, just building off of that and where did I go wrong? What did I do? How could I do better? And
Those are all good questions.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to point you in a different direction.
Right.
Upward. Good. Let's go to number 2.
Okay. It says, how have I tried to have power over the events, outcomes, and people in my life? And I thought, I had to really, really think on that, over the events. I tried to have power over the events, outcomes, and the people in my life. Thought my way of doing things was better. But for me, I have a hard time with, I don't know, I do in some instances, but sometimes I'll be very passive in situations, and so I seem to take and let people rule over me in some situations. If I'm understanding this question correctly, it says, how have I tried to power over the events, outcomes, and people in my life? And I'm very passive in that. A lot of times I let people rule over me instead of me taking that
Personal responsibility.
personal responsibility
Mhm.
myself. So
So why would a person put themselves in that? You don't have to answer this, but why would a person put themselves in a situation like that to where it reinforces passive behavior, which is probably not healthy or actually good for everybody involved, I'm assuming, because usually that's the way it is.
it's for me to be more, I've got to be more in control in a good way, but I
They
can't
call
let people.
they call that being assertive.
Yeah.
Assertive, being more assertive.
Yeah.
That's not being force. That's being assertive, and that's being moving in a healthy way, where you have your own particular healthy boundaries, and they are your boundaries. We think boundaries are for other people, but they're actually for you, so that you operate in your boundaries and you conduct your life the way you want to conduct them. And if we're passive oftentimes, and we let people treat us the way that we have always behaved, because it's a learned habit sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves, I don't have a choice. Right? That may sound a little hard, but I don't have a choice. Yes, you have choices. And that doesn't mean that you have to rebel, but you can make healthy choices. And sometimes if we have to change our behavior patterns, we have to start small and take little steps and learn new patterns that are healthy. Right? Is that too much? You want to go to the next one?
Okay. It says, in what ways did I show that I forgot that God is ultimately in control? Well, I thought, at the time, especially in some areas that I still have problems with, I think that feeding on my ways of doing things right there at the very moment, which is that pleasure or that fleshly desire that comes out,
Yes.
I think that my way's better. My ways seems right at the time, which
And why do we
whereas,
think that?
Because I want to feel good.
You
I
want to
wanna
feel
be
good,
instant-
and we justify it by
instant.
saying, I deserve that. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
I deserve it.
even though-
How's that worked out for us?
Good.
I mean, you can do it. You can do it. But we think that stuff to try to justify it. But it doesn't really mean. Did you disagree with that, Robert?
No, I would not disagree.
Well, you can. You can. I just.
Yeah, you can, and I have, but it didn't work out well.
Okay.
But now that I am agreeing that God is ultimately in control, things are working out a lot better.
Good. Congratulations. Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay. And so, knowing that that God had the best for me, even though I knew He was in control, I just, like I said, that moment of say weakness, or that moment of beating on that flesh, still seemed to over that, realize He would have given me that way also.
So could we be then saying, well, God don't know what He's doing. I know better.
Right.
That's kind of where we're at right here with this grandiose thinking, right? Is that too tough?
I think expanding on the definition of God in this situation is really important.
Okay.
There's a lot of higher laws at play in all these situations. Currently, I'm going through a phase where my big brothers absolutely hate me and loathe me. They block me from getting jobs and make fun of me when I try, and I've got credit card companies taking me to court, and so I'm trying hard to do good, but so understanding what's meant by God in this stuff's really important.
Well, it is important, and your statement, I almost said something, but it would unravel things a little bit, and that is, the statement was that God is in control. Well, we tell ourselves that sometimes because we have free will to make even bad choices if we choose to, right?
But we don't all get the same options.
Yeah, well, that is the truth, okay? And as one guy told me when I was in the middle of a dilemma, he said, you have to play the cards that are dealt to you. And you don't get any more until you play the ones you got. Now, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I got it, okay?
Like Mike Rose says, I believe I understand.
Thank you. Okay. Bring it on home.
All right. Says, how have I avoided acceptance of God's power over my life? Like kind of going back to step 3, but I just wanted to act on the impulse or the self-gratification, which we like.
Right.
Feels good at the moment.
Right.
Instead of accepting His power and direction in my life, even
Right.
though it's always going to be best. He wants the best for me, but and for all of us. But we seem to think that our way is, and so the acceptance of God's power is immaculate. I can't even begin to imagine me trying to do it on my own, even though sometimes I try to do it, I can't do it. So, but I need that isolation deal and what you had talked about on that. That's one thing that's a side note on the deal, but that's a process, of realizing, because once I give in to my own impulse, then I kind of get to the place where if I fall back into that same behavior, which I've had a problem, and it's caused problems with me and my wife, and I get to the point where I just say I don't care anymore. After so long, I've got to the point where I just don't, I shrug the Holy Spirit, or I just shrug him out, God out the door, to the point where it's just like, what's happened? Now I don't have that conviction. Now I don't have that. It's like I'm spiritually numb to that.
Yeah, you
to
don't
that
feel
place.
his presence.
So-
And so that's a real good lesson to be aware of,
So,
because that is some of God's greatest grace, is to feel his presence. And King Nebuchadnezzar, God visited him. He felt something, okay, because he responded to it, and he turned the kingdom upside down, looking for some help. And then he thought, I can do it on my own. And we get in that place that we decide, I'll just do it on my own. And then we get to go another trip around the desert again.
Around that mountain again.
Yeah. So what did you learn from this lesson?
I need to turn everything over to God and realize my way's not, my way is not the best way, and my way always ends in failure.
Okay. So what's your takeaway?
Get out of the way and let God do it. And turn it over to Him, because He knows better than I know. And that's been a process of doing that, turning it all over to Him. It seems like I turn it over to God, but then there's days where I seem to, turn it over.
You want to take it back.
Take it
I
back.
take it back.
And those are the days that are designed to help you to break the habit of that toxic thinking. It's a day of practice. And thank God for days of practice. We say, I don't want to have any temptations. Well, you're going to have temptations. And stuff's going to happen. You might as well be prepared and step into them instead of withdrawing and trying to hide from them. Kind of like what Adam and Eve did. They went and tried to hide. How'd that work out for them? God knew where they were, but He needed them to respond to Him. That's the reason why He said, "Where are you?" Any last comments?
Thanks.
Questions for me, or?
Any questions for Brandon? Well, I'd be curious to know if some of these guys out here, they learned something out of this. Do what?
That's how you know you're good, when there are no questions.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not buying it. So what did you guys learn out of this lesson?
I learned that I need to keep taking the steps that I am so that I can keep getting better.
Good. Anybody else? Yes, Robert.
I keep thinking of a worship song, and I'll attempt to sing a portion of it. It says, "But your way is better," and that's, every time I hear it, I think, yes, your way is better. My way didn't work. Your way is better, God. Thank you for showing me your way.
And that gives you an opportunity to make a decision to surrender.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you for that. Anyone else? You're looking at me, Lori.
I'm paying attention.
Well, I thought maybe you had something you wanted to say and you just need a little encouragement. Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. You did good. You know, these topics are pretty good topics, but I know that I make them a little tougher. I hope I hope I'm not being troublesome to you. Hopefully it helps you, equips you, enables you to have a better life, because that's what I want, be able to deal with life. And that's the only way through this life, is through the life and asking God to help. Now, even if you slip and fall, again, we're not looking for perfection, right? We're looking for progress, piece by piece.
Yeah.
That's the reason why when people say that they've relapsed, I don't ask them about the relapse. I ask them what they learned from the relapse, because that's to me, and from what I've learned, that's the most important thing, is to learn from every situation, whether it's good or not so good, and God will help you with it. So, any comments from anybody before we close? Appreciate all your comments. I moved kind of quick there, right? Because I didn't see anybody start to talk. So, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you and give you His peace.
Amen.
Will, did you have any comments?